boys and girls. Thanks for joining me for math today. I just finished cleaning my house and finding all of these objects, and now I need to put it away in my shelf. But you know what? My shelves are different heights, and I need to figure out which one this one should go in and which shelf this one should go in. Do you guys think you can help me out with something that you've learned last week in math? Do you remember what you were doing with Miss Fam last week? Yeah, you guys see that? Yeah, we were measuring things. And you know what? If I measure these two things, then I can see if they'll actually fit on my shelf and not get like stuck, you know, or not fit and like I have to like put it somewhere else, right? So let's see if you guys can help me with this. But first, let's do a quick review of last week's measurement. Can everyone say measurement? Okay, good job. And last week we learned the measurement of length. Say length. Nice. And remember, Miss Fam said that length is the space between one end to the other end. So it's one end to the other end. And the length is the space in between. Okay? Length is the space between one end to the other end. And we learned that when we measure from one end to the other end, if the space is really big, then it's called long. Can you say long? Long. Awesome. And then if you measure it from one end to the other end and it's a smaller space, that's called short. Can everyone say short? Short. Nice. Okay, so the two words we're going to be using for length are long and short. But you know what? I'm going to be teaching you a different type of measurement, because I don't really want to know how long this spray bottle is or how long this candle is, because it's not going to be going in a box that's long. It's going to go on a shelf, and it's going to be the height of the shelf. Can everyone say height? Height. Awesome. Okay, so height is actually very similar to length. They're almost the same, but instead of going across from one end to the other end, you're going to go from the bottom to the top. Bottom to the top. Okay? So, height, everyone say height. Height is the space. So it's still the space. Okay? Height is the space between the bottom and to the top. Okay? So the space between the bottom to the top. So if I want to measure the height of my word here, I would start at the bottom and all the way up to the top. Okay? That's height. Height is the space between the bottom and the top. Okay? Great. So can you guys help me out? Can you help me measure these two flowers? We learned about flowers and plants last week during Earth Day, and I wanted to see which flower has a bigger space or smaller space between the bottom and the top. Okay? So let's start with a pink flower. Let's start by going to the very bottom, and let's measure it all the way till it gets to the top. Huh. So that looks pretty big space. Let's see this one. If I measure it from the bottom to the, what? You're right, bottom to the top. Great job. Which one has more space? You're right, the pink one has more space. The pink flower is tall. Can everyone say tall? Tall. Tall means the space between the bottom and the top is bigger. Okay, so I'm going to write the word tall right here. T-A-L. Tall. Ooh. And if the space is smaller in between the bottom and the top, that means that it's short. You're right. That's actually the same word we use for length. short. Great, let's write short right here. Nice. So which one is taller, the pink flower or the orange flower? You're right, the pink flower is taller and the orange flower is shorter. Okay. Miss Pham also showed you some tools you can use for measuring. These are tools that everyone uses for measuring if you have it at home. One thing that a lot of us adults like to use is a ruler. And it has numbers on there to help us see how many units something is, okay? But there's some other things you can use too to measure, like paper clips or crayons. There's also, you can use blocks. I like using blocks for height because you can stack them on top of each other. So I'm gonna draw blocks here. And let's draw a purple block. You can use Legos too. Legos are kind of like blocks. I'm going to be using our connecting cubes actually to measure some of the stuff today. So that's another tool we can use. You can also use, one of my students, Luca, did a really great job sharing a video with me, and he was using his arm to measure things. So I can definitely use my arm to like measure how big this paper is or this board. I just have to put my arm next to it, then put a little finger to see where I put my arm again, and then put it like that. So now this board is about 2 arms length. So you can use things that you have on your body to measure things. Sometimes I like to use my finger to measure things. So if I wanted to see the length of or the height of this marker, I might use my finger and go, ooh, it's 1 finger. Ooh, it's about 2 fingers high or 2 fingers tall. So that's also another thing you can do. So I'm going to draw a hand or an arm. Because sometimes you just have to use what you have with you, okay? Are you guys ready to help me measure the height of my 2 objects to see if they'll fit in my shelf? All right, let's see. So I'm gonna move this away. And I have my chart here so that I can see how many, and today we're gonna use paper clips and we're gonna use connecting cubes to help me measure, okay? So let's put this, let's put it here. Let's tape it up right here with the rest of our posters. Awesome. And let's get our supplies in. Okay, so boys and girls, I have my 2 objects right here in front of me. And remember, if I'm measuring height, I want to go from the bottom to the top. Bottom to the top. Let's start with our spray bottle first, okay? And let's use our cubes. I want to use cubes first. All right, boys and girls, are you ready to help me with the cubes? We're going to start at the bottom and then measure to the top. So I'm going to start putting cubes and connecting them until they are the same height as my spray bottle. And you're going to help me count at the end. And see how many cubes are between the bottom and the top. Remember, because that's the height, the space between the bottom and the top. Okay, that looks about right. So, you guys agree? Does that look like the same height? Awesome. Can you help me count how many cubes there are? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cubes. Great counting. So we're going to write 11 on our chart so we don't forget that number. And 11 is written like a 1, and a 1 makes 11. Fun. You're right. So, spray bottle, we used our cubes. There was an 11 for 11 cubes. Great. Now let's check our candle. Let's see if our candle has more than 11 or less than 11. What do you think? All right, keep that prediction in your head. That's your guess. So let's see. Start at the bottom and let's get to the top. looks about right. You guys agree? Yep. All right, how many cubes do you guys see here? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're right, that's 4 cubes tall. And let's write our 4 over here. Remember to write a 4. It's down and across and down some more. That's how you write the number 4. Wow, look at those numbers. They're very different. But, oh, actually, Miss Conception made a boo-boo. That's not where the 4 should be. What did I use to measure my candle? I didn't use paper clips. I used the connecting cubes. Uh-oh. Let's erase that and write it over here. Down and across and down some more. That's how you write the number 4. Thank you for catching that, boys and girls. Miss Conception was not paying attention. So now I'm actually going to use a different tool to measure just to check, because good mathematicians always check their work. Okay, so I'm going to use a paper clip or paper clips because I'm going to need more than one paper clip. So let's use our paper clips to see how many we need to get the height of these objects. So I like to connect my paper clips together so they don't fall apart and I could just hang it. So for this one, so I start at the bottom and I just keep adding paper clips until it's the right amount. Oh, this is, you might need some help with this. Miss Conception's having a little bit of a difficult time. And it looks like I might need one more. What do you all think? Maybe another one? That looks like it's about, let's see, what do you guys think? Yeah, maybe a half of the one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say it's about 4 paper clips tall. Yeah, it's about 4 paper clips tall. So we're gonna write a 4 for our spray bottle. Ooh, we could have kept that 4 over there. Nice. Nice. So that's a 4. And then let's measure our candle's height. Remember? So let's start from the bottom and then to the top. That's about 2. See that? 1, 2. Good. Okay. And it's a candy cane. And then you draw the little stick. With the shoe, that's how you write the number 2. Gave it a shoe. Awesome. So, that was some really good measuring, but you know what? I have a challenge question for you. Remember those 2 words we learned about height? We learned the words tall and we learned the word short. So if I was going to look at these 2 things, which one would you say would be taller and which one would you say would be shorter? Remember, taller has a bigger space in between the bottom and the top. And shorter has a smaller space between the bottom and the top. So, when I'm looking at these numbers, I can see that the spray bottle has more space in between because their number's bigger. So if it's a bigger space, what is it called? Nice! You guys used the word correctly. It's tall. So the spray bottle is actually taller. So we're going to put a T here to remember that it's tall. So if this space compared to the spray bottle is smaller, what would you call that? Nice. You guys remember the other word is short. So the candle is shorter than the spray bottle. We're going to put an S there to remember that that one was shorter. So your challenge for this week is to find all kinds of things and measure them to find their height. To find their what? Their height. Good. And height is the space between the bottom and the top. Okay? So in a few weeks, we're going to be learning 4 different types of measurements. But for today, we have learned 2 so far. We have learned that there's length, which is measuring from one end to the other end. And now we've learned the next one, and the next one is height. Okay? And height is measuring from the bottom to the top. Measuring from the bottom to the what? To the top. Okay? So now you are experts at measuring these two things. Length and height. All right, you guys did so much work with me today. Can you guys kiss your brain? Great mathematicians. I can't wait to do some more measuring with you guys and seeing your videos of all the cool things that you're seeing that are tall and things that are short. And I hope you have fun with all the activities we prepared for you. Okay? Bye.